Namaskaram everyone. Today I want to talk about how I got into Isha Foundation and how I almost never made it in there. It's an interesting story because I wanted to share with you guys. It's a little different because I wasn't one of those people who would look at Sadhguru's picture and be like, oh my god, I'm so devoted and I want to see what he says. I was the exact opposite. I was a skeptic. So I wanted to tell you guys my story. If you're ready, give this video a thumbs up and let's get started. Even though I wanted nothing with Sadhguru, I didn't like him. My husband would play his videos in the house and he was already taking some of the programs at Isha USA, but I was very, very skeptical of Sadhguru. I thought of him as a great businessman who had fooled people to work for him for free. I wasn't gonna listen to him for sure, and that wasn't my plan. But let's go back to my life before COVID. So a few years ago, I had everything that I thought I wanted. I had graduated with a physics degree from York University in Toronto, and I was just still working out. I had built a body that I wanted to. From outside, my life honestly really looked great. At the same time, I started tutoring kids in math and physics because I genuinely loved working with kids. Long story short, what started as a side hustle, it became a real business. We were getting referrals, we were getting more clients, and we ended up getting more tutors to a point that we realized we needed a bigger space. So naturally, my husband and I invested pretty much everything into that business. We rented a larger space, we hired staff, we bought furniture, we built little classrooms, we had a business plan, and we were ready to take on, and we had big plans for the business. 3 months after opening our new location, COVID hit, of course, and it was honestly very sad. It was almost overnight that everything stopped. We didn't know what to do. We started doing online tutoring, but it wasn't enough to support the business and it wasn't paying the rent. So eventually we had to close the business. And it was one of the hardest decisions we've ever made in our life. We donated almost all of our furniture. Years of work just completely disappeared and the depression kind of hit right after. The strange thing is that during this period, I kept working out. I was waking up early. I was doing the things that I needed to do. So I was like checking off my checklist. I was planning my wedding during this period. So I was pretty much happy when I was doing all of that, but there was something missing. I knew that something inside me had fully died. Before COVID hit, I always had big projects, something I was working towards, but suddenly time had stopped and there was nothing that would interest me. I spent months sitting on the couch and watching Netflix, and on the side I was watching videos on depression, trying to figure out what was wrong with me and what was happening to me. Something inside me had died and I didn't know how to be happy and motivated like before, and nothing really made sense to me, honestly. Nothing interests me, and I saw no point in achieving anything, and I literally thought that everyone else in the world is just wasting their time because there was no point of doing anything. So those were my thoughts at that moment. At this point, my husband has already taken a few Isha programs, and hopefully one day he'll tell you his story, but he kept telling me to just do inner engineering, which was one of the initial courses offered by Isha Foundation, but I personally wanted nothing to do with it. I would overhear Sadhguru's videos on the background, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, and honestly, it didn't interest me because I thought that I knew everything that he was saying. I had survived childhood abuse. I had overcome losing my sister, which was super close to me when I was 14. I had been living independently since I was 16 on my own, and I had built an almost successful business. So I already meditated at this point as well, and I already had a deeply connection with God, and there was this voice in my head that it was so clear throughout my life that had guided me throughout some of the hardest moments in my life. So I felt connected, and honestly, I was that type of a person that everybody came to me for advice, from younger kids to older women. So my attitude was very prideful and egoistic. I thought I knew everything, and I'm like, okay, so what is Sadhguru going to teach me? Why do I need him? I'm looking back and I see that there was like so much pride and ego. It wasn't just like a normal level, it was just crazy. Eventually I agreed to do inner engineering, and not because I wanted to, because my husband wouldn't stop recommending it. And honestly, during this period I wasn't doing so well, so I was desperate, so I tried it. The first few days that I did the program was rough. I remember feeling intense discomfort. I started crying. I told my husband, I am never doing this again. I'm in so much pain. I had a few injuries in my body because it made it so hard for me to do the, practice. But he said something that changed everything. He said, if it hurts so bad and it's this much, maybe that's exactly why you should continue doing it. So I did. I completed the Mandala 40 days of inner engineering, and I can't really tell you what changed, but something started changing within me. It wasn't overnight, but I noticed that I was breathing better, I was folding my clothes nicer, I was taking my time in the shower, and I wasn't rushing out. So it really made me continue doing the practice, but it wasn't anything spiritual for me. A little while later, my husband suggested I go to Isha USA for another program called BSB. He described it as a fun women program when everyone connects together and they play game and they bond together, and it's perfect for women. I personally love bonding with women, and I think it's the most beautiful thing in the world. How women connect always has me, stunned. I love doing that, especially in a world that is built against us. So finding women to connect has always been intriguing to me. So I was intrigued. He called it BSB, and I didn't dare learning the real name, Bhava Spandana, which translates to the resonance of emotions. After I came back, he admitted that he was terrified when he dropped me off at the airport for this program, and when I left, he kept staring at his phone, waiting for a text from me saying that I'm leaving and I'm coming back home and I hate this. But something happened there that really kept me going, something that I wasn't expecting at all. And I will tell you about that in the next video. Make sure you subscribe for the next video. See you soon. Bye.